Hey guys, it's Tony with the Road to Solitude, and today we're doing an oil change on my 2022 Toyota Tundra. First thing we got to do this morning is move the old girl out of the garage. Alright guys, so I got the truck pulled into the garage here. This is my 2022 Toyota Tundra that you guys see in all of my videos. And let me know if you guys would like a video of a full walk around of everything that I have going on, because there's quite a bit on here. So the first thing you're going to need is an oil pan. I recommend paper towels. You're going to need a fuel filter. This is a genuine Toyota fuel filter. I did a lot of research online. There's a lot of confusion as to which filter applies to the Tundra. And the one I'll be using today is 90915YZZN3. So we have that. You're going to need a 14 millimeter socket, a 12 millimeter socket, half-inch fuel line. It makes the job just a little bit easier. I wish I had a little bit longer of a piece, but I will show you what that is needed for. You'll need an oil filter wrench, obviously, a funnel, and I have 8 quarts. The correct fill for the Tundra is 7.7. So last thing you'll need is brake cleaner. That's kind of optional, but kind of recommended to clean up everything. But that's really all you're going to need to be able to do this yourself. All right, so the first step that we're going to get into is the air dam. Now, this might be optional on your model, but I do have it on mine, so I am going to show you how to go ahead and activate that so you can do your oil change. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get inside your truck and turn just the accessories on by simply pressing the engine start stop button twice, and then you're going to turn it off, and you have within 45 seconds to lift up your windshield wiper reservoir, and that will release the air dam in the front of the truck. So that's how you do that. And while we're in here, we want to make sure that we pop the hood, which will be this release right there. The next thing that I typically do is I remove the fill plug, or fill cap rather. Alright, so now that your oil cap is removed, you're going to grab your 14 millimeter socket and your drain pan and climb underneath the truck. Alright, so I have my oil pan in place, and now we are going to remove this 14 millimeter nut here, and it shouldn't be overly tight. Make sure your orientation is correct, and just give her a little bit, and you're gonna have to be kind of quick here. Let's see, how quick can I be? Not quick enough. I never am, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and let that drain, and while that drains, I'll show you the next step. Alright, so the next step will be taking your 14 mil socket off and putting on your 12 mil socket, and we're going to remove these bolts here, which are fairly simple. There'll be 4 of them, and this is how we're going to access our oil filter. So I will get these removed, and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, now with that cover removed, we have access to the oil filter, which is right here. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. Before I mess with the oil filter, I have a little trick that I do on every oil change that I've ever done. So I will show that to you here in a second. I just have to get up. What I do here is take your oil, and this holds 7.7. So in theory, you should be able to take just a little bit here and kind of pour it on through, just to kind of flush out some of the old oil a little bit better. All right, so we're gonna be switching back to our 14 mil socket here. And I'm going to be putting this drain plug back in, which should stop it from leaking out the last little bit of oil there. And then we'll go ahead and tighten that. Now this is really crucial, because if you forget to put this back on and you pour 7.7 quarts and you don't have it in, well, you just wasted 7.7 quarts. So, highly recommend that you do not skip this step. Alright, so your next step that you're going to want to go ahead and do is place your oil filter wrench onto your oil filter. And you're going to take your wrench here, as I shake the camera, and you're going to place that in there, and you're going to start slowly releasing it. And then you can do the rest by hand. It will come eventually. That's what they all say. Now, something that I mentioned earlier was this little 1/2-inch fuel line. And typically this comes in handy when it's longer. Because if you can kind of see the mess that it's making here. It's all over the cross member here. So if I had a little bit of a longer one, I could just hypothetically put this up here, and it would just simply drain into whatever I'd want it to drain into, aka my drain pan here. But I don't have a long enough one, so I gotta go back and pick up some longer 1/2-inch fuel lines so that way I can actually do it properly. But in this instance, you can do this as well. You don't have to have it. This is more of an optional thing. It does make your life a little bit easier. But anyway, so let that drain out. And while that finishes draining out, I'll show you the next step. Alright, so the next step will be grabbing your oil filter. We are using a genuine Toyota oil filter, 90915 YZZN3. And we're going to go ahead and pull it out of the box. And we are going to confirm on the actual filter that it is, in fact, the correct filter. You don't want to run into that issue. And then what we'll go ahead and do is we'll remove this plastic, and I'll show you what the next step is. So essentially, we're just going to remove the plastic. We're going to take a little bit of oil, dab it on our finger here. Now these Toyota filters, they typically come pre-lubricated, but I always do it just to be, like, I err on the side of caution. So, doesn't take much, just a little bit on there, and then we're going to climb back underneath the truck, and we're going to start installing the filter. Alright, now that we are back under the truck, we can go ahead and just start by reinstalling the new oil filter. And you're just simply going to do it hand tight, nothing crazy. No fancy tools. You don't want to over tighten it. Something off here. And that's pretty much it underneath here. Alright, so the last step is going to be putting your cover back on here. And again, that's going to be your 12mm bolts. So, finger tight all the way. Line up two, and it makes it a lot easier. Alright, so your last step is going to be essentially just fill in the truck. So take 5 quarts and you'll just start kind of pouring it in. Not as all crazy like I just was, but I like to crawl underneath and just make sure that nothing's leaking before I fill the other nearly 3 quarts. I'll climb under and double check I don't see anything leaking. So we can go ahead and continue with the other almost 3 quarts. Seven. Here is the last one, which you are not going to use all of it. And the best way to honestly tell how much is by checking your dipstick. We are good. All right. Now with all of that done, we are going to move to the inside of the truck here. All right. So now you can start the truck. It's going to cycle through everything. And you're going to want to go into your settings here by using this panel. Clear everything. And we're going to go down to vehicle settings. And you're going to click and hold that button there. And then your scheduled maintenance, you can click on that and click yes. And then oil maintenance, yes. And so now it will notify you in 5,000 more miles. And another little fun fact, whenever you're about to start the truck, it'll typically tell you down here how far you are from doing your next oil change. So it'll give you your mileage. So you can keep your eye out on that. That way you can prepare, and ultimately you can end up buying your oil ahead of time, your filter ahead of time, have everything ahead of time, so that way you don't worry about going over the 5,000 miles. So that's how you do that. It's fairly simple. I'm gonna let the truck sit and run for a minute here, but that's how you do an oil change on a 2022 Toyota Tundra. So I wanted to thank you guys for watching this episode of The Road to Solitude. I hope you found some great information on how to do an oil change on your Tundra. If you did, like, subscribe. We're always doing more content on a multitude of different things. I'm walking outside for a specific reason, and that's because at the beginning of the video you saw the 61, and we're hoping to incorporate some of that into our content here soon. So if you guys are interested in that, stay tuned to everything that we're posting. And I just wanted to say thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.